Okay, this is the yin yang symbol, and I want to talk about why there are 6 days of creation. It's once you've drawn the yin yang, you have drawn 6 things. There's the small white circle, that's 1. The small dark circle, that's 2. There's the large circle, that's 3. There's a squiggly, that's 4. There's the dark region, that's 5. And the white region, that's 6. 6 days of creation to create this. In the image and likeness of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. In Genesis 5:2, he called them male and female. This is known as the female and the male, the receptive and the creative. That's 6 days of creation, just as the wedding at Cana, Jesus takes 6 empty jugs and fills them. So this is the yin-yang symbol 6. Now a hexagon is a six-sided geometric shape, and honeybees make honey in the shape of, their hives are constructed in such a way that they are constructed of hexagons, and they put their honey in them. So think about this as a story about bees. Okay, so you have one is receptive and one is creative. Well, which is it? Well, actually, when you think about it, it's about a story about bees and flowers. Okay, so one is receptive and one is creative. You would think that the flower was receptive, but actually what happens when the bee visits the flower, the bee absorbs the nectar. It is the bee that absorbs the nectar, and also it is the bee on which the pollen is scattered. So it is actually the bee that is receptive, but it's the bee that is in the place of being kind of the hunter, the selector, the bee floating above the flowers, deciding which flower. Here's the bee. It's receptive. It's deciding which, or you could actually, let's do it the other way around. Here's the bee, the receptive bee. It's flying around looking for a flower, and then it finds a flower who's creative. The nectar goes creative. The creator, just, if you think about human sex, it's more like the flower is the male. The nectar goes into the bee. The pollen goes on the bee, and then the bee leaves and goes on to the next one. So you have the bee that makes the selection of which flowers to drink from is the receptive one. The creative one that provides the nectar and provides the pollen is not the one that goes out hunting. It creates, and it hunts more like a spider, I guess. It creates something artistic and nice, a flower makes itself attractive to bees, and then in the hopes that a bee will come, drink its nectar. What it really wants is to get the pollen, and it actually wants both. And then what happens is the bee goes, and the bee goes flying away, and then the bee goes back to the hive, and you end up with the 6-sided shape, the honey, which is like a baby. So that's like a woman, a receptive woman, seeking flowers. So it's up to the man to be like a flower, to be beautiful in a sense, attractive in a sense, to have a gravitational attraction so that bees will come to the flower, not the man to be pestering. It's exactly ass backwards when the man pesters. It's not like bee love at all. It's what you want is the thing that's receptive, the bee that's going to have to absorb the nectar. The bee makes the choice as to which flowers are attractive to it. It absorbs the nectar, and then the honey is like the baby. 6 days of creation. The result of the union between a bee and a flower is like honey, which comes later. So the bee is like pregnant with the nectar and goes back to the hive, and then out comes honey later, which is beneficial for not only bees, but all kinds of other animals benefit from honey, including human beings. So that's the natural way of things. The thing that is receptive does the selection. The thing that is receptive does the selection. The thing that is creative does not do the selection. That is intrusive. That is like rape. When the thing that is creative does all the selection, it's rape. It's non-consensual. So the creative one does not do the selection. The receptive one selects. The receptive one acts creatively in the selection, and the creative one acts receptively in the sense of being receptive to the needs of the bee and making itself attractive and appealing to it so that it'll come and visit.